Hi, I'm Tom D, and in this video I want to show you how to join indexes using ESQL in Elasticsearch. ESQL is a new query language that was introduced in version 8.15 as an official language. Previously it was as a technical preview and it was without support. Because we are on the 8.17 right now version, I want to discuss how to join indexes using that query language. Let's start. The first step is to start Elastic. You need to start Elasticsearch cluster, both Elasticsearch and Kibana. That will be useful because I want to show you how this DevTools working with the ESQL, and also in Discover section there is a ESQL support. You can easily query the indexes without creating the data view as it was before, or without creating index pattern that was even earlier. There's an article I wrote on my blog. Here you can see the QR code that you can scan and get to that website. Here is a ready-to-use code snippets that you can use to start Elasticsearch cluster. First step is to create the network, so both Kibana and Elasticsearch are in the same network. Network is created. You can see that by typing docker network list, and then you can see this network. Now there is a command to start Elasticsearch node. You can see in the Docker desktop that Elasticsearch container is starting. Next step is to restart the default password, or actually set up the password for Elastic user. This user can use to do administration task for Elasticsearch. For this tutorial, I'm not going to create a specific user with less privileges, so I want to show you based on that Elastic user. You should see the response Elasticsearch password reset. So let's execute it again because sometimes it doesn't work. I want to see that response, that password got restart. Okay, let's once curl -xget -k https localhost default port cluster halt pretty. That's the URL, but username and password should be here. Username elastic colon 123456, and there's an issue that you cannot authenticate, so it means that this command didn't went fine. Let's run it once again. Okay, now it runs fine. So you have to see that response password for Elastic user successfully reset. Otherwise, if you don't see that response, it means something is wrong, like here, unable to authenticate user Elastic. So that's done already. This command was executed successfully. There are 4 more commands to execute. The first command is to basically get the Kibana, enroll Kibana. This is API to obtain the HTTP CA and the most important token value. This token value is used later on to authenticate Kibana with Elasticsearch. You have 2 fields in this JSON that is response from this API. One field is HTTP CA that you will save as a PEM certificate here, and you can later on use it here. And the second field in that JSON is a token value that you are using for authentication. So this is service account token here. It's used when you start Kibana. So let's execute those 4 commands. Now clear that space and run it. Now you can check what's the value, echo, what's the value of Kibana token. So there is some value, means that all those 4 commands were executed successfully. Now it's time to start Kibana. So Kibana is started with parameter -d, so it's detached from this TTY, and that's why I can't see the logs, but I can see them in the Docker desktop in the Kibana container. So Kibana is started here, localhost and default port, which is 5601. So here's the login page. As you remember, you have set up the password here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and user is Elastic. So let's use that Elastic user and that password. Elastic user and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Click on export on my own, and Kibana is started, along with Elasticsearch. Now it's time to load test data. Here are the commands to create the mapping. First command is to create the equipment mapping. These contain two fields. First field is item of type of the keyword, because then you can aggregate of that on that field. Second field is type of double, because it will contain the number. Then there is a command to insert 4 documents in that index. They will contain information about the equipment name, which is an item, and power usage. Secondly, there is an inventory index that contains the item, room, and quantity fields, and 2 documents in that index. So copy that. Here you can see this copy button here in right upper corner. You also can copy that and execute it in Kibana. In Kibana, go to the here on this hamburger button that open up the menu, scroll down to the DevTools, and here you can close what's here, some examples, delete that, and paste content, and now you can execute. If you select the command, you can click here on the arrow to send the request, or you can use Control and Enter or Command and Enter, depends on your operating system. So let's click here on the arrow. You can see that the request got executed. So it created the mapping. You can of course check that. You can type get equipment, and good with the DevTools instead of curl command that you can see the hints here. So you can see when you are typing that this index is available. So you can quickly click on that and then choose mapping. If you press tab, for example, I'm here, I'm starting typing mapping. So now if I press tab, it will use that value. So I can type then Control and Enter, and I can see the response contain exactly what I declare on the left side. Now time to insert some documents to that index. Then execute the put inventory and post inventory. Done. So you can confirm that this data was created. For that you have commands here, you can copy them. These two commands utilize the ESQL language. So you can see that there is a warning here that no limit defined. So if you define the limit, you will use a pipe here. Remember, use a pipe, because this is the new line, like next command. Like if you were using SQL before, so it's not like ESQL where you type like select all from table. It's not like this. Here you start from without select. You start from equipment, type pipe, and limit, let's say there are 2, so we can type 10, no problem. And yeah, so you displayed the maximum 10 rows here, and you can use exactly the same here, limit to 10, and you don't have this warning. Now if you go to the discovery, before going to discovery, try to copy the content, this from equipment and limit 10, these 2 lines only, without the post and so on, these 2 lines only, copy. Go to the discovery, and you have here language ESQL. Go there, and you can see that you can paste this query here. You can expand query editor even to have a better view, and you can run it, and it will do exactly the same. It will execute it here. For now, let's go back to DevTools. By executing these 2 ESQL queries, you got to know that you inserted data properly to your indexes. Now it's time to join those 2 indexes, because first index contained the data about the inventory, so it contained the information how many laptops are in the reception room and other equipments as well. And the second index contained information about power usage. So in this case, let's say you want to calculate how much power usage is per the room. Therefore, you need to add the data about the power usage to this inventory index. So how to do this? There's the way to create the enrich policy. Enrich policy is the definition how Elasticsearch should create this lookup table. Lookup table will contain the information about the item here, which will taking from equipment index, and then as a value, item will be kind of key. And as a value, it will provide the enrich fields, which will be power usage. So now when you are using enrich policy, for example, you are using the ingestion pipeline and then you are using enrich processor, you can provide something that will match the item from that index. So you have another index that has the same value like the values of index equipment and field item. And then you want to get this power usage from that equipment index. So you provide any value that will match item. As a response, you will get the power usage. That's the definition of enrich policy. When you copy that and execute, you can see acknowledge true, but this doesn't mean the table, this lookup table was created. You need to execute that. So you need to do this execution of, you can check creation of that index, right? You will not see that index. There is nothing was created. You need to execute that policy. You have the command here, post. Basically, it's instead of put, you have a post, and at the end you have underscore execute. Status complete. So now if you check, the index is created, this underscore index. So if you want to check the data, you can type get name of the index and underscore search. So you can see what is in that index. As you can see, there is basically item, like I said, the key kind of, and the value which is power usage. That is the system index because it's starting from dot in the name. You can also use ESQL to query, which will be exactly what I did. Not exactly, because you have format here option. That's a very important point. Let me explain you this as well. If you use the format, you can have a CSV here, but I can change it to text format and it will be in form of table. So that's the advantage in comparison to DSL language, because here it's more like a raw kind of style that is good for some software to handle that instead of a human. Because you created this table, this lookup table by enrich policy and execution here. Now you can run the ESQL query and using that enrich. So here you are calling the enrich policy name, and you are providing this value on item, right? Because I'm selecting from inventory here, and inventory also have a field item, which matching the equipment item. So in equipment, there is an item that is, for example, smartphone, and I will have this smartphone maybe in the inventory. Here I have a laptop, for example, and I have a laptop in equipment, because there is only data about these two. But of course, I can add more to the inventory to match also the smartphone and this light bulb. No problem with that. So coming back to this query, it will get the item from the inventory and using that enrich policy to get the data from the equipment index about the power usage. And then it calculates the current power usage, like total power usage, and group them by room and by item. So you can copy that and execute it here. And you can see that how many power usage is per room and per the item. So if you delete the item here, you will get the information how many watt usage is by room. Okay, here I need to remove item from this. Okay, you have a power usage per room. Thank you for watching that video. In this tutorial, you have learned how to use the ESQL to make a joins between indexes. I'm sure you will be happy to use it in your projects. Remember to visit my blog because it contains many such tutorials with ready-to-use code snippets that you can copy and paste and execute one by one, which gives you this hands-on experience instead of just reading. And whenever you're on a blog, I'm encouraging you to take a look at the course. It's an upcoming course about Elasticsearch. I will provide you great tips and tricks that I have used many times when I was working with Elasticsearch for last 10 years. And this is video course that will contain the videos and ready-to-use code snippets, the projects files, everything what you need to work on it. It will contain over 18 tips. That's why the title is 18+ Secrets from Elasticsearch Golden Contributor. Stay tuned, it will come up soon. So have a nice coding. Bye.